fullback position for this greatest All Black team of
bro.
Samoan descent?
I had Cullen, man, straight in there. 58 tests. Honourable mention to Mills. Mills probably be on my bench. He can cover all the outside backs as well as centre. So Mills makes my bench for outside backs. And that was probably a tough one. I'll probably argue that for all of you, Cullen versus Mills. Longevity-wise and his general play, Mills probably one of the best fullbacks going around, past and present, top 3. But I just think the Cullen, man, when he came on from 96 to about 02, 03, he was beast, bro. And not as many test matches as Mills, and probably not recognised for having a Samoan heritage, bro. But he's got some in there, bro, and you got to pick him. So, yeah, that's my fullback, man. Cullen at the back, Williams and Tuinga Marler on the wing.
Nice.
You're going to kick it
That's
to us?
a pretty explosive back line. It's a very explosive back 3.
You can't play the kicking game with us. and then when old Tuinga Marler gets a bit tired, he's not as fit as the rest of them, I'll give him a little spell, and I'll put Cullen on the wing, and then Mills will come on in the 60th minute, mate.
You know that 10-minute break, you've gone to that 2 drunk level there. So. But I'll pass to you. Rog. How did you see the fullback?
My back 3 is deadly, mate.
Rog, how do you see the back 3? Sorry, the fullback. How do you see the 15?
It's a hard one because with Mata in there because of his longevity, and obviously had a long tenure in the All Black jersey. Having been dropped and coming back from it.
We're not talking about Mata, bro. Get on with it.
Hey, I'm getting there, mate. I'm getting there.
That 10 minutes.
In terms of test caps, right? Because we've gone with Kevin Melamu on his test caps as well. There's no one that compares with Kevin in that bracket anyway, in Samoan terms. But Christian Cullen, I think he overrides Mills Muliaina too, even despite Muliaina having played 100 caps. Just simply because Christian Cullen is still being talked about now. His highlight reel speaks for itself. He was an amazing fullback back when he played, but then basically he was an amazing, and his gameplay, and he's still talked about now just because of the benchmark that he set for fullbacks as well. So Christian Cullen for mine.
Nice. This looks like a clean sweep, which is pretty harsh. I mean, Mills, like you said, Roger, 100 tests, and we had over 100 years of All Black history, and only 9 players have played 100 tests for the All Blacks, and Mills is one of them. So for him to get left out is pretty rough on the guy, but I can't disagree with anything you guys have mentioned. Christian Cullen gets through on a clean sweep. So with that in mind, I'll read you guys the first 15 of Samoan descent that we came up to. So we had Olo Brown, Kevin Mialamu, Charlie Famuina, Patrick Tuipulotu, Ross Filippo, Jerry Collins, Sir Michael Jones, Rodney So'oialo, Graham Bishop, Stephen Bishop at 10. On the left wing, Brian Williams, Martin Onu at second 5, Frank Bunce at 13, Julian Savea on the right wing, and at 15, Christian Cullen. This is a pretty formidable team, but I think this is a World Cup winning team. This will just waste everyone, but I want to put you all on the spot. Who is the greatest ever All Black of Samoan descent who's ever lived?
First, before we do that, I just want to make a shout out to one of our listeners. There's actually threw in a team that from our preview we did earlier today. So this goes out to Bundy Beaton. So his team, his Samoan All Blacks team was Ola Brown, Kevin Lemilamu, John Afua, Patrick Tuipulotu, Jerome Kaino, Jerry Collins, Sir Michael Jones, Adi Savea, Graham Bishop, Richie Moanga, Julian Savea, Martin Onu, Tano Umanga, Rico Ioane, and Christian Cullen. His bench was Charlie Famuina, Nemia Tialata, Stephen Oatua, Victor Vito, Ofisa Tunu'u, Isaiah Toyava, Mills Muliaina, and Sonny Bill Williams. So thanks for sending that through. Us.
One thing I'll say is he's got 10 of the guys he's picked in his 23 have also made our team, so he's not that far off. But so you know, good on the listeners for you know, getting some engagement and getting involved, because I know that some people are going to listen to this and think, man, hell no, how did this guy not get in? How did that guy get in over this guy? They've had some great All Blacks, but yeah, we'll just finish off by saying who do you think is the greatest All Black of Samoan heritage who's ever lived? So cAMz, I'll come to you first again. So who do you think?
Okay,
it's a tough call. Like,
it is tough. It is tough, and I probably made my decision as we were going down the list of our first team. So it came to 2 players, and I based it on influence. So it was Brian Williams and Iceman, and I chose Iceman based on how much influence they've had on the sport and players that come after them.
Hard to argue with that, to be fair. So Simon, who did you come up with as our greatest ever All Black of Samoan descent?
Oh yeah, I'll probably the same. Nah, not so much for his rugby abilities, but just his effect on not only Samoan but Pacific rugby players. I think you can pinpoint before Michael Jones, probably like a few, you know, sporadic number of Samoans, but he's probably the first. Because it was pretty interesting looking at when I did my research. All I did was just look at All Blacks, just Wikipedia All Blacks, and it just come down the list. And so Iceman made his debut mid-80s. Before him, hardly any, bro. So since him, there's a big influx of Polynesian players. I think he's responsible for him and Brian Williams. But that era, like, you know, we were in the same era. Michael Jones for us, just his status in the community, what he did for the community, and his effect, just like that reason. It's hard to say who the greatest player was. You talk about basketball, the same thing, but the effects, like as if you're talking about boxing, like Ali's not probably the physically or the best boxer, but his effect on the world was huge, and everyone says Ali's their favorite fighter, but you can pick so many better fighters. Same with Iceman. You can pick probably better 7s, better 6s, but just his effect on our community, West Auckland, Polynesian, I think probably our greatest All Black for Samoans.
Nice. Rich, how do you see it,
I don't have too much to add after that from what Cam and Sive said, but basically, and then just going a notch further, I think he even goes beyond the borders of Polynesia and even New Zealand, because I think at the time when he played, he was well revered around the world. I think I remember when he retired, it was like he was in that sort of similar ilk to an Ali when he retired, or Jordan, just simply because when he did retire, I remember having conversations with other people and saying, well, this guy Michael Jones, he'd probably be invited into any stadium around the world just because of the stature and the standing that he held, not necessarily in our community, our local community, but just due to his exploits as a rugby player, as an All Black, and what he stood for. I believe he was well recognised around the world, which wasn't just because of what he did on the field, but because of the character and the persona that he was, for what he stood for and what he believed in. The Sundays, not playing on Sundays as well. So I think he was one of the first. I think Sid Going was another one. The Mormon or the Goings were renowned for not playing on Sundays, but Michael Jones sort of made it more apparent, and because of the era that he played, especially during World Cups.
Nice. Roger, you put up some good points about him not playing on Sundays. If we add the injuries, then he still managed to accrue 55 tests in his 11-year All Black career. So I'm not going to disagree with you guys, but I do think I've actually got a different guy. I think Ma'anonu is the greatest Samoan All Black we've ever had. We've had about 140 years of All Black rugby history, and we've only had 9 Centurions, and Ma'anonu is one of them. And he's played 103 tests, and if we look back at the 2 World Cups we ended up winning, 2011 and 2015, he was a starting second five in all right through those World Cups, and he was that critical. He was the best second five both times in the world for both of those World Cup wins. So I feel like he's a guy who saved his best for the All Black jersey. I've gone for Ma'anonu, but I've been outvoted, and you guys win. Michael Jones is our greatest ever All Black of Samoan descent. So I just want to thank you boys for jumping in and helping out on the podcast today. You guys have any final words before we close up on the team? Kim,
Simon's all
no, that was good. That was good, bro. No, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on. I think it's notable. Well, we touched on it a little bit, but it's notable to talk about Frank Solomon, like Samoan guy, one of the first few, Samoans only really started coming in the 50s, 60s, so he was one of the first few that actually, played rugby and made all the way to the top, so, in the 20s and 30s, man, so that's pretty, it's good to be proud of someone like that, Frank Solomon, but since to him, Brian Williams, one of the originators of Samoan rugby, and it was cool to go through the list of All Blacks in timeline because you see this. You just see, I think it's the state of rugby in New Zealand as well, but you see this influx of not only Samoan but Polynesian names from the late 90s, early 2000s onwards. In the last 20 years, man, it's crazy. There's islanders making debuts everywhere, so I had fun, man. I like doing this shit. No, it's good.
Nice, boys. Any final thoughts from you, Roger and cAMz? You got anything to add?
I think it's important that we remember a guy like Tana Umanga who may not have made it into this lineup, but just because he was a captain for many of his All Black tests, I think under half, if not around about half. But yeah, transitioning from the wing and showing his versatility and durability.
Tough to leave him out, eh? I left him out in my first 15, but I think that goes to show the depth in his position, bro. I think out of all the positions, centers and wingers, we've been producing them.
And I think he went out on his own accord. Not many players can get to do that. Retiring on their own core, a lot of players get dropped. And then that's the end of the rugby or All Blacks careers. But, Tana ended it on that end-of-year tour to the Northern Hemisphere when Toiava became the new kid on the block. And
it's a good point to mention as well. He's another guy, Umanga, you look at his career in the All Black jersey, you can break it up into two times. He came out as a left winger when Jonah had his illness, and then he had a breakout at centre in the mid-2000s. He became captain. So it's like I said, it's tough to leave him out in my first 15. I had him on the bench, but quality winger, quality centre, man. You got to mention him.
Yeah, one thing I'll just add to that on Umanga. They interviewed Graham Henry, and he is one of the greatest rugby minds of New Zealand rugby history. And they said what was the greatest thing he did as an All Black coach, and that was what he said. He said making Tana Umanga the captain in 2004 when he first got the All Black job. That was the thing. Like all the leadership and the tone he set, that followed right through. He retired in 2005, but they carried that right through to the end of 2011. Like all of the things he put in place. So overview, Simon, pretty hard to leave him out, but depth of position. So. Sorry, carry on, Roger. You were saying?
No, not me. Yeah. I just thought I'd just make a mention of that because thinking about it